2, 1.
What do you think of when you hear the words type 1 diabetes? For some of you, I'm sure the image of a middle-aged, overweight man who never exercises is what comes to mind. Now, for those of you who get an image like this, you're not wrong, but you're not right either. You've probably just seen a few too many commercials about medications for type 2 diabetes and not type 1. But as it turns out, not a lot of people know what diabetes is, let alone the difference between type 1 and type 2. So today I'm going to inform you about what type 1 diabetes is and how it impacts people like me, how it's managed, and then lastly we'll discuss a potential cure for type 1 diabetes. So what is type 1 diabetes? According to the Mayo Clinic, type 1 diabetes is a chronic autoimmune condition where the pancreas no longer produces insulin, a hormone needed to allow sugar in the cell in order to produce energy. Now, I know that's a lengthy definition, but it's obvious that doesn't have anything to do with eating or exercise habits. Some of this confusion about type 1 diabetes comes from the fact that type 1 diabetes is pretty rare in comparison to type 2. The American Diabetes Association estimates that only 5% of all diabetic Americans are type 1 diabetic, most of whom were diagnosed before the age of 20. Personally, I was diagnosed at the age of 16, but no matter what the age of diagnosis, that type 1 diabetes is something that will impact those affected for their entire life. That brings us to how type 1 diabetes is managed. Type 1 diabetes is managed through insulin therapy. This means insulin injections either by a vial and syringe, a pen, or a pump. If that doesn't seem like enough, type 1 diabetics must check their blood sugars regularly too. Most diabetics check their blood sugars from 6 to 10 times a day and give themselves 4 to 5 injections. Injections most often occur around the time of a meal, since that's when a functioning pancreas would do its job of releasing insulin throughout the body. But type 1 diabetics have to do this all themselves. Type 1 diabetics have to figure out how much insulin they need to give themselves based off of carbs, their insulin ratios, and then they can finally give themselves a shot. All of this is done is so blood sugar will stay within a healthy range. This is typically somewhere between 70 and 150. For some people, managing their blood sugar is like clockwork, but other times it can be like a guessing game. But through proper management of blood sugar, diabetics can go on to live long, healthy lives. Another reason diabetics are able to live long, healthy lives is because of major medical advancements. As the medical advancements continue, a cure becomes closer and closer. One research program that could potentially hold a cure is the artificial pancreas. The artificial pancreas would eliminate the need for constant glucose checks and insulin injections. The artificial pancreas hit clinical trials back in 2012 and was FDA approved in 2016. This would also allow tighter control over blood sugars than any current available treatment. So hopefully, the artificial pancreas in the near future will hold the cure for type 1 diabetes. But until then, type 1 diabetics will have to continue managing this disease themselves. But I hope we can all learn something about what it means to be type 1 diabetic through how it's managed and then what it is, and a potential cure. So maybe someday we can turn type 1 into type 1.
Oh, sorry.